Hello again. This is my final oral presentation for my sleep study. My name is Kristen Lewis, and let's dig into this material. So, as stated before in my previous presentations, the problem is that I don't get enough sleep. And the average adult actually needs 7 to 9 full hours of sleep to avoid sleep deprivation. And on average, I get about 5 or 6. And on some days, it's less than that, depending upon what's going on in my schedule for that day. So a little background about myself and my work schedule. I work Sunday to Saturday currently, and I normally wake up at 3 a.m. every morning to get ready for work. The goal of my project is to discover the best suited time that allows for a full night's rest and commit to this daily. And I aim pretty much to increase my daily performance and productivity. So for the defined portion, I wanted to achieve more rest for better daily productivity. And that means in order for me to get 8 full hours of sleep per previous research, that means that I would have to be to bed by 7 p.m. I also included on this slide pretty much like a plan of action for the measure, analyze, and improve phase. And you see here that there are pretty much 2 weeks of very sleep time. Then I would document the data, then 2 weeks of achieving the best suited bedtime for the measure phase, and then I would document that data. And then for the analyze phase, I would pretty much analyze weeks 1 through 2, and then I would then analyze weeks 3 through 4. And then whatever results that I came up with, whether there were deviations or any such thing like that, I would go into the improve phase and pretty much improve my process. So this right here is my project goals, and really I would like to commit to getting to bed earlier so that I can be more rested, and that means just being consistent, every single day, and just being aware of the fact that I need to get to bed at a certain time in order for me to function properly the next day. So for the measure phase, part 1, weeks 1 through 2, I came up with a schedule. And as you see, here's a schedule. It's varied sleep times. I just wanted to see which day or how many hours, of course, I would feel rested. And for measure part 2, weeks 3 through 4, I would sleep for the acquired set hours discovered in weeks 1 through 2, and that was 8 hours. And for each of these parts, I would document my data on like a questionnaire. And the next slide, we can see how the questionnaire looks and how I recorded the data. So for record keeping, the sleep questionnaire, as you see here at the top, there's the date, there's the hours slept, there was this time achieved, yes or no? There were also questions in which I would ask myself, and then I record how I felt after a full day of, sleeping that amount of time that was acquired. The variables measured during this phase were the questionnaire results, and the time slept and consistency. Did I achieve the select sleep time each night? For the analyze, improve phase, the data pretty much came from the measure phase, obviously. And the analyze phase is where I would discover if there were any process deviations, and then pretty much set out a plan to like improve or reduce the deviations. So because I had deviations in my process, I pretty much took advantage of the 5 whys methods. And here were the questions that I had originally used. Although with the last 2 questions probably weren't the best questions for me to ask. But even still, I was able to get what I needed as far as why I had my deviations, which they all kind of aided pretty much to my root cause analysis, which is on the next slide. So here's my root cause analysis. This was a very, very helpful tool because I was able to pretty much pinpoint other areas in which I had interruptions in my sleep or reasons why I wasn't able to make the scheduled 8 hours for weeks 3 through 4. So what I didn't realize was that my environment played a big role. Disturbances, sirens, trains. I don't know if you guys can hear, but the train is right across the street from my place. So it's going back and forth every, 3 minutes or so. So, I mean, you get used to the sound. But living in the city, it's just very noisy. My neighbor, he has guests over and walks loud and loud music and, just a lot of disturbances there with the people around me. Cell phone notifications, that was one that I didn't realize played into it. But probably the primary reason why weeks 3 through 4 had deviations was during this time my family visit. They came from Georgia, and we just had a lot of activities going on that week, so getting to bed on time was very hard. Also during that time, I had just social outings and church events and just other things that took play during that time. It's not a normal thing that my family would come up and visit. So, but that was pretty much a record for an account for the deviations that I had with week 3 and 4. So my analyzed results, this chart right here is pretty helpful because it gave me pretty much a picture of the hours slept trends. And as you can see, it's Sunday through Saturday. So number 1 is Sunday and 7 was Saturday. And as you can see, there are like certain days where I had less hours of sleep, such as week 3. Week 3, day 4, I didn't get any hours that night. That was one of the nights that me and my mom stayed up watching TV. And it was great times, but I was tired the next day. And so then the chart on the right-hand side is pretty much sums up what's in this graph here. And as you can see, there were deviations. I didn't get a lot of sleep weeks 3 and 4. So the breakdown. So I created this Pareto chart for the hours slept, and it was pretty helpful, especially since I was able to pretty much zoom in to weeks 3 and 4 and actually see per like the charts on the bottom here, which I guess area or which event prevented me from sleeping the most. And as you can see, it was church events and social and family time. So that was the primary reason why I didn't achieve, sleeping 8 hours for weeks 3 and 4. So the improve phase, I pretty much wanted to do a risk analysis, that is to identify and estimate the risk. And to analyze the risk, I wanted to create like a plan of action, and that was to like make modifications of the sleep time, which was 8 hours, to sleeping 7 to 6 hours per night. And this was pretty much to like lower the probability of like the deviation. And so the plan of action was to do an additional 3 weeks attempting to sleep 7 to 6 hours per night. Although weeks 5 through 7, they kind of were split up because I had one traveled to California, then I went home for 2 weeks. So week 7 happened pretty much. I was able to test for week 7 at the end of November, which was okay, but it should have been closer to weeks 5 and 6. So here are the results for my improve phase. So here are weeks 5 through 7. As you can see, the highlighted in pink, those were the days that I did not make sleeping 7 to 6 hours. It is an improvement, I will say, but still you see Tuesdays and Thursdays were days that were really hard for me to get in the bed a little earlier. And as you can see in the chart on the right hand side, you can see the reasons of why, and they're pretty consistent with my meetings and then the late night gym class. So for the improved data analysis, I created a control chart, and pretty much it showed the areas in which my process was out of control for weeks 5 through 7. You can see that there is a point right here at which the process was completely out of control, and it's good, and I can see the improvement, but still I need to improve at trying to get in bed between 7 and 6 hours on a consistent basis. But from my data, I can see that there is like a improvement in my process. And below here, what I did was I just pretty much included my chart from Excel so that you guys can see my work and see what I did here. So planning for the future, there was an improvement from weeks 3 and 4. There were less deviations in weeks 5 through 7. Sleeping 7 to 6 hours works. My process was out of control per my control chart, but I can try to make changes going forward. Tuesdays with my meetings, it will be kind of hard, but Thursdays I can possibly find a gym class that starts a little earlier in the day so that I can get to bed on time. So going forward for the future, I'll find a class that's earlier, and I think that will improve my process. here are my references, and I just want to say thank you guys so much